Hi, everyone, and welcome. I really am so glad that you're here today for Organize to Optimize. And whether you're joining from across town, across the country, or across the pond, just take a deep breath, grab your favorite drink. I have water today, and get comfortable because we are going to make organizing your photos feel a whole lot easier and even fun. But before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you in the chat. If you had to describe your photo collection in just one word, what would it be? It could be something like chaotic, priceless, dusty, mystery box. What would it be to you?
Beautiful.
Hmm. Let's see. Ooh, disorganized. Yeah, you're not alone, by the way. I I think everybody could probably say at one time or another that their photo collection is disorganized.
Somebody said overwhelming, a mess.
Yeah, a mess. Yeah. Piles, not.
Piles, not files.
I love that. I love that. Can I use that? I love that.
Right?
All right. Okay. Well, okay. I hope you're from Ohio and not that your photo collection is only of Ohio, but everywhere. Wow. Well, I just have to say that you're not alone. And I hopefully after today, you feel like you can kind of change that and really get to, yes, Mary Pat, sentimental, get to the sentimental side and be able to make heads or tails of your photo collection so you can find those meaningful sentimental photos again and again. All right. All right, so for those who haven't met me yet, I'm Rhoda Gordon. I'm a certified photo manager. I own Sunflower Photo Solutions, and I'm also the creator of Dig Your Photos, a DIY photo kit that helps people make sense of their printed photo collections before they digitize them. I've been helping families, individuals, and businesses organize their print photos and their digital photos for over 9 years. Yeah, I'm in my 10th year of business as a photo manager. And I created Dig Your Photos and the process I use for organizing people's print photos because I kept seeing the same things over and over again. People were getting so frustrated with their boxes of photos and just lugging them around from house to house or whatever it is that they threw all their photos into a box and send them out to a big scanning company to have scanned. And, you know, it's a great idea and we're encouraged to do it with all the commercials, right? But what happens is if they don't organize their photos first, which the people I was running into had not, they end up with what I call digital spaghetti. They just got back files and files and files that had no meaningful names, and they couldn't really even tell what images were on them. And it became more of a frustrating mess for them. So I'm here trying to help the world make sense of their photo collection before they digitize it so that they can find the memories that they like over and over again. Now, what are you going to walk away with today? You're going to have a simple step-by-step system for organizing your print photos before you scan them or do any other type of project. You'll also have my insider tips for choosing the right scanning company, as well as what questions you should ask your scanning provider, and how to avoid the most common mistakes that waste your time and waste your money. And as a thank you for spending your time with me today, I put together a bonus resource. It's a scanning printed photos tip sheet that you'll get and you can use right away. You can download it and use it right away. So before we talk about how to organize your photos before you, hold on, I have to let someone in, hold on. Before you digitize them, let's talk about why you would even want to consider scanning your photos anyway. Well, let's think about it. Our print photos are one of a kind and they are really treasured to us, right? So, sorry, I'm letting someone in. That is, sorry. Let's just do that. They're one of a kind and they're our treasures. They tell our story. So we don't want to lose them. And fires, floods, hurricanes, or even like a spilled cup of coffee can destroy that photo or your whole collection in seconds. So digitizing your photos creates a backup, a safe copy that you can store in a cloud, on an external hard drive, and create another backup of as well. And also share with family members so that if something ever happens to your printed photos, you can have them reprinted from your digital copy instantly and at great quality. So it's not just a convenience to have them scanned, it's actually a way to preserve your future and the photo's future. Also, it allows you to have restoration. Let's face it, I'm sure you're all aware that your photos fade over time. You lose the color, they tear at the edges, they become fragile. So, digitizing your photos allows you to have minor color correction if you want to. Most scanning companies actually provide that as a service or included, or further restoration. There's some amazing companies and people who do restoration of your photos, and having your photos digitized makes it so much easier to get them restored. And then there is the accessibility and sharing. Digitizing your photos allows you to have access from your phone and across other devices. So you can have,
Bless you.
excuse me? Oh, okay. Let's just try and keep on mute unless there's an important emergent question that we need about what I'm talking about. Thank you. So having accessibility across your devices really is convenient, and it's a great way that you can also share your photos with family and friends in whatever way you want to, whether it's via email or via cloud sharing or social media. So digitizing your photos ensures that your memories are preserved for the generations to come in a format that will withstand the test of time. So I would never say don't digitize your photos. So, and here's just a little quote. Having an organized, clean photo collection sets you up for successful scanning. And that's because it avoids having digital spaghetti, right? If you're organized, you can scan faster and it will cost you less money. And it also will allow you to have a meaningful collection where you can find the photos that you love or that you're looking for over and over again. All right, sound good? So let's just jump in and see how to organize your print photos and what to look for in a scanning company. So let's walk through the exact process that I use with my clients. But before you even touch a single photo yourself, pause to think about and ask yourself, why am I thinking about scanning? What do I want to create here? And all people will have all different answers. Maybe you're scanning because you want to create a special project from a loved one. Maybe your daughter or your niece or your nephew is getting married and you want to create a slideshow. That's an amazing goal. Maybe you have a exciting birthday coming up for a loved one. Maybe your aunt is turning 80 or your nephew is turning 25 and you want to create a beautiful tribute photo book for them. That's a great goal too. And you would have to be organized with your photos to find those photos, right? But maybe your goal is that you just want to get all your photos in order and backed up so that they're protected. Or you're planning a move and you want to make sure that the move goes smoother, so you want to kind of pare down your collection. All of those are great goals and they're specific to what you're doing at the moment. But based on that goal, you're going to kind of make different decisions in the next a few steps in organizing your photos and picking your scanning company. So the first step is really, it's a pre-step, is to consider what your goal is, define it, and then what I always say to my clients is write it down on a sticky note. Keep it in front of you, especially in the area where you're going to be organizing your photos, so it's front of mind and it will help you in each decision you have to make. So here we are, how to organize. Step one, and there's only four. Step one is to gather all the photos you need based on your goal in one place, right? So what I always like to say is have a designated area. It doesn't have to be large. Maybe it's just a folding table that you set up, and that's where you are going to gather all your photos that you need. or and keep them there and then also do the following steps that we're going to talk about. I had one client actually who set up, she had an extra room that had a twin bed, and she put a tablecloth over the twin bed. And that was the area that she worked on and brought all her photos to and did the rest of the steps on. So you can be creative. I like to say, make a designated area that you don't have to kind of clean up at the end of every session because it does make it harder to want to bring everything back out again. But if you can just leave it in the middle with a little bit of tidying up, it makes it so much more enjoyable to go back to. So let's just talk about how you're going to gather. Well, if your goal is a full organizing, you're archiving your print collection, then you're going to go on what I call a scavenger hunt to find all your photos and gather them together. You're going to go from room to room, you're going to peek under the bed, you're going to look in the closets, and you're going to grab all those boxes of photos and bring them to your designated area. And what I don't want you to forget are the frames and the albums. Look on the bookshelves, look on the walls. Those are important photos as well. And not just rooms that you're going to look in, but look in things that rooms that you don't consider rooms. Let's call it that, okay? So the attic, the basement, your garage. How about that storage facility that you have that you haven't really visited in a few years? I bet there's photos there. And don't forget to also look in drawers because I find that people keep their favorite photos in a drawer, right? By their bedside or in the kitchen because you want to see them all the time. And every time you open that drawer, you get to see that favorite memory. But if your goal is to create a slideshow or a beautiful photo book, then the way you're going to really hunt and gather is going to be a slightly different. You are going to really look where you keep the best of the best photos. And so those will be the frames and the albums, which are already kind of curated for you. Somebody already picked the best of the best and put them in an album or a frame. So based on that goal that you decided on and keep it foremost in your mind, that's how you're going to gather your photos. And one other quick tip that I just want to share is that when you are pulling your photos out of frames or albums, be very gentle and use tools if you get stuck. So, what tools would I suggest? Well, if you have stuck photos in an album or in a frame, a palette knife is a really good tool. It's artists use it all the time, but it's like a flat knife, soft edged, rounded edged, and you can gently lift the photo out of the album or a frame. Also, I love a gum eraser. It gets the glue residue off the back of the photos and or tape residue as well. And that is really important because if we're going to scan our photos, we're probably going to stack them and we don't want to ruin the photo that's getting stacked underneath by having glue residue. And this step itself, and any step where you're organizing, but this step really is to eliminate the hide and seek factor, meaning you really can't organize what you don't see. So everything you need to support your goal should be gathered in this one step first before you move on to the other steps. Step two is quick sort. And this is a quick decision making, kind of beat the clock type of activity. It can be very fun and it can really help you feel successful very quickly. So, what is this quick sort? So, there are these sorting rules, which I'll go over. And basically, you take your photos that you've gathered and take a stack at a time and you sort them into four different piles based on sorting rules. My piles are gold, silver, bronze, and trash. And I use cards both within my DIY kit, but also with my clients. The gold, silver, bronze, and trash cards you see there. But you could just take index cards and write gold, silver, bronze, and trash, and you can organize your photos that way in the quick sort. So, what are the sorting rules? Well, the gold pile is your best of the best photos, the ones that you really want to be able to access more frequently than all your other photos. Like, because they bring a smile to your face, a tear to your eye, and you find yourself sharing those photos more and more often. And if there were ever an event, those are the photos you're going to go to create the project for that event. The silver pile are photos that are really important for telling your story. They are important, but you don't really need to access them on a weekly, monthly, or yearly basis, but you need to keep them and that you want to pass them down. Now, the bronze pile is kind of a horse of a different color. The bronze photos are photos that might necessarily be your best photos. They may not even be good photos at all, but there's a story behind it. For example, maybe there's a picture, right? And it's of two people, a little boy and a man, and their backs are to the camera and they're kind of far off on a dock. So at first glance, it's not a meaningful photo, but you know what that photo is immediately. It was the first time you caught a fish with your grandpa. It's the first time you ever caught a fish, but you did it with your grandpa at the lake. And so it's a meaningful photo to you, and you actually tell that story all the time. So now you found the photo that goes with it. Keep the photo, and definitely once you digitize that photo, you can actually write down the story or tell the story and associate it with that photo. There are ways to do that. And then the last pile is trash. And this is everything that you really don't need to tell your story. So it's all those photos that have no people in it, blurry photos, all the duplicates, and the series of photos. I know you know, the series of photos. You wanted to get that great shot, maybe of your child's first time laughing, the baby laughing for the first time, and you just keep snapping the camera because you think you're going to get it. And you do get it, but you probably took about 15, 20 pictures. And of course, you order duplicates because it was cheap to do back then, right? So now you have 30, 45 pictures, I don't know how many, of the same child within the same 15-second, 30-second time period. Really only need, what you really only need is the photo that shows them with the big smile and laugh on their face, right? So you can keep one and put all the others in the trash. And like I said, this will help you really feel successful and pare down your collection very quickly. And just some tips on this one. I always say, you know instinctively what pile it really belongs in. Don't overthink it. Look at a photo for 2 seconds and then put it in the pile that you really think it goes on. And if you're uncomfortable about putting photos in the trash, and a lot of people are, you're not alone, put it in the trash pile, but then take your trash pile of photos and put them in a basket and just put them out of sight for a while. You don't have to throw it out. Nobody says you have to throw it out. You're just not going to focus on it for your project or for your scanning.
I'm getting sick.
Okay.
How do I put this on?
Can everybody mute their phones, their computers, please? Thank you. Okay. Now, what's the next step? The next step is creating a family timeline. And I would say a timeline is probably the best tool you can use, and you create it yourself to support your organizing. So on a piece of paper, just list all your life events and the approximate years if you don't know the exact year, or the exact year if you do. But like events, births, graduations, weddings, moves are important, vacations, where you lived, and even what pets you had. Because all of those will be clues when you go to look at the photo of where, when, and where the photo was taken. I like to use a spreadsheet, and this is an example of a spreadsheet that I have that I use, but you could just write it on a piece of paper. And then what I do, again, you don't have to do this, I actually take a long piece of paper and I create a physical timeline where I transcribe all those milestones onto the timeline. You can see in the lower frame picture a little portion of its timeline. And I use that to help in the next step, categorizing. But there are plenty of different ways you can categorize just based on your milestones. And let me just tell you this, you don't have to go down to the year. It's okay. It's okay to organize by decade, half decade, by generation. It's your story and your organization. You are not going to get it wrong. You're going to get it right the way that is comfortable for you to organize. And the thing is, too, about creating these milestones is that it also helps you spot the missing moments. You get a picture and you can't really tell where it belongs, but you can see from the milestones probably where it is. It was before you got married. It was after you got married, something like that. So it really helps to place your photos and also remember other milestones. And the last step in organizing your print photos is really categorizing them. And like I said, you can categorize by decade. You can categorize on a timeline. I know a lot of people actually, if they're doing decades or half decades, they just take note cards and they write 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, and they make sorting piles based on that. And that's a great way to organize as well. I just like the physical tickler of a timeline, and that's the way I choose to do it. But if you have a really large collection or you inherited a collection, you may choose not even to do it by decade. You could do it by time periods, maybe childhood, teen years, early marriage, raising kids. And if your family took pictures, not necessarily just on run-of-the-mill days, but only at events, you may try to sort by events, maybe by all the holidays of the year, and then also vacations or family reunions. That's fine too. You should organize your photos by how your family took the photos and what works for you. The key, I think, is consistency. Choose a system for categorizing and then stick with it. That is what's going to make the scanning process smooth and easier to identify once you have all your photos digitized. So here's some tips. Start small. You don't want to burn out, right? Trying to do everything at one time. So I say, even if you have a huge collection or even just a little table full of collections, start with one box at a time or one album at a time and go through the whole process first, the 4 steps. That way you can build confidence, feel successful, and want to keep moving forward. I know you can do it, so just start small and don't make it too hard or too complicated and don't overthink it. The next one I would say is set a time limit. We all get tired, and looking at our photos, we kind of go back in time, we reminisce, and it can be exhausting. So maybe 60 minutes, I would say at first. Set a time limit. Say I'm going to work on this for 60 minutes, and then I'll come back Saturday or next Wednesday or at the next rainy day. So give yourself a time limit. Try not to go over it so that you get so fatigued that you don't want to come back. And give yourself some grace. It's okay to reminisce and to share the photo that you haven't seen in 29 years of you and your cousin, maybe running through the sprinkler, right? Take a picture of it, share it with her, text it to her. It's okay. And I love to make sorting through photos a family activity. There's nothing so wonderful as holding a photo and sharing it with someone else and telling the stories. It's such a great bonding experience, and you'll be surprised at how much laughter there will be, or maybe tears, but it's just really a wonderful activity to do together. All right, we're going to move into scanning because that's why we organized, right? Or maybe you're just doing a project, but eventually scanning always comes up. So there are some decisions you can make about scanning. Maybe your method. Do you want to scan it yourself or do you want to outsource it? You can scan it yourself without too much investment, really. You just have to know some quick tips. And if you're technologically inclined, it's great. You can get a good scanner. There are feed scanners, which you can do 100 of photos at a time. You can scan them, and that's nice and quick. And there are some great options out there, probably around the 500 or less mark. So you can research that. Or there's also flatbed scanners. If you have a flatbed scanner already, a lot of people do. You can use that to scan your projects. I feel like that's a lot slower. So maybe if you're doing a slideshow or a photo book and you just need, 100 or 200 photos scanned, that's a great option. But I feel like if you're doing your whole collection, using a flatbed can get very monotonous. So try it out, see how it works for you. And of course, there's some great photo managers out there that do scanning, like, photo managers like me. I could refer you to some, or you could go onto the photo managers and find one that lives near you, or you can send it out to your local photo lab or to another scanning company. But regardless, I would say make sure you clean your photos. All photos, no matter where you've kept them, probably have a layer or just at least a few pieces of dust on them. They have dust on them for sure, and maybe debris. And you might not see it just looking at it, but if you kind of held it parallel to the ground in the light, you probably would see the dust on it. And it's amazing that you don't see it, but what happens is once it's digitized, it will magnify the dust, that you'll get white spots all over that photo and you just won't be happy with the result. So take a soft cloth, take a soft bristled brush and just kind of clean off the dust off the face of your photo. And then also take inventory. Know how many photos you have, especially if you're sending your photos out. So a good rule of thumb is an inch of photos standing, back to face, piled up. An inch will be 100 photos. So if you have all your photos organized and maybe in shoe boxes standing up or temporary sorting boxes, then you could take a ruler or um, a tape measure and see how many inches of photos you have, and that will tell you how many photos you have. So if you have 12 inches of photos, then you have 1,200 photos. And lastly, really consider resolution. That's a big word. Not everybody knows what it means, but it really is how much detail the scanner captures, right? So resolution is measured in DPI, which is dots per inch. I'm sure people have heard that in passing, but think of DPI as the sharpness of your photo. The higher the number, the more detail you're going to get. So most photo labs, especially, your older photos, were probably printed at 300 DPI, which is great picture. I'm sure you're happy with the pictures. And if you are going to scan your photos, that's a minimum, I would say, of the DPI you want for scanning your own photos or for having a company to scan them. Even better, and what I suggest is to go up to 600 DPI. And the reason is if you scan your photos at 300 DPI and you go to print it out, you print out at the same size it is, it's going to look great. But if you print it out slightly larger or even larger than that, then you're going to lose clarity of the photo. So let's say you have a 3 by 5 photo and you scanned it in, and maybe it was scanned in years ago, and you scanned it in at 300, and now you're making a photo book for Aunt Clara for her birthday, and the picture in the photo book is larger than that, maybe a 5 by 7. It won't be as clear as the original. And so scanning it in at a higher resolution, 600, will allow you to enlarge that photo in print. So I do recommend going up in resolution. Okay, so you could drop it in the chat. Have you worked with a scanning provider before? If yes, that's great. Let me know if it was local or mail-in, and would you do it again? But let's talk about, while you're doing that, let's talk about outsourcing and what considerations you should take into account when you are considering outsourcing, because not all scanning companies are the same. So we already talked about resolution. So I would go with the 600 DPI. Sometimes some scanning companies make you will charge you slightly more for the 600 DPI, but it's worth it. Ask if the scanning company if they do color correction. I know many photo managers do color correction either as they're scanning or afterwards when they're preparing the package to deliver back to their clients. So ask, and if that's important to you, then that'll help you make your decision on your scanning company. Most important, and I would say this is a go, no go decision, are they going to preserve your organization? Because you just worked really hard to organize your photos. And if they're not going to put them in folders based on how you organized it and possibly rename all your files to how you organized it, then it's probably not the scanning company for you. And if you're creating a project, especially for an event, ask about the turnaround time because you may think you're sending it in, but you're not the only one sending in your photos, right? So you're sending it to a big company. It may take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get your photos back. So just ask what their average turnaround time is. And then lastly, consider the whole local versus mail-in. Local, of course, there's a lot of trust there. You can drive or walk your photos in to a local photo lab or a local photo manager, and you're not worried about it getting lost in the mail. If you do use a mail-in place, and I have had clients mail me photos and other things, projects, quite frequently, we always have tracking. We never use USPS. We always use FedEx or UPS. And so I've just started putting a tracker in with the boxes because I found that unless it, you could drop it off somewhere, but if it doesn't get scanned in by UPS, they're not even considering it delivered yet, like delivered to them yet. So a tracker is really a good choice for me. All right. So let's talk about some time and cost saving tips for organizing your photos and having them scanned. First, we talked about curating and I just want to go back. Sorry, trying to get it. How curating your photos and how it's very helpful because you can have them organized and then once they're digitized, they will be organized in a digital way as well, and you won't have a digital mess. By curating them, you also end up scanning fewer photos. So that will save you money. You're not scanning your blurry photos or photos that you don't need. When you throw everything in a box, you actually pay for photos that you don't need scanned. So that is an amazing thing. And then if you batch them into categories or you put them into categories, you can actually have them scanned over time. So you don't have to make the big investment to have your whole collection scanned at one time. You can have, let's say your childhood scanned and then later on your teen years scanned when you once you get them back. So you can divide up how you have your photos scanned and in what way once you have them organized. So that was a lot, right? But if you're feeling inspired, but also thinking, wow, that's a lot to remember, you're not alone. I know. And that's exactly why I created Dig Your Photos, which is a hands-on DIY kit that gives you all the tools and templates and guidance to organize your printed photo collection before you scan it. I designed it for people who just want to organize their photos and are tired of carting those boxes from house to house or from room to room when they have to reorganize things in the house. So I have the original physical kit, which is great. And now I'm introducing a new digital download. You are the first people to hear about it, which is so exciting. I've been working on it for quite a while. I've gotten feedback that people want instant access. They want an intro version that's printable with the same videos. And of course, it costs less because you're not getting the physical kit. And the only thing it really doesn't have is the tool pouch with all the tools that we'll talk about and the timeline template, the physical timeline template that you can create. So if you're interested in either one of them, you can go to the QR code in the next few slides. There'll be a nice coupon for you for it. And I will go to the next slide and just tell you a little bit more about it. So what is in the kit? In Dig Your Photos, you get all the tools that a certified photo manager would use. You get cotton gloves, you get the palette knife, you get an archival safe pencil, you get the gum eraser, a magnifying glass, which I cannot live without a magnifying glass. I mean, when I'm organizing print photos, I use that magnifying glass all the time. To look at what's going on in the background. I've looked at movie marquees that are in the background of photos just to see what was playing then to get a year. I've looked at the TV to see what's on the TV to know what year it was. So you play detective when you're organizing your photos. Um, and am I missing anything? I think I said six things. So there you go. And then you get what I call recipe cards. Those are the four steps I just described to you on organizing your print photos and a QR code that leads to a video of 5 minutes or less of me actually demonstrating that step. You also get the sorting cards, gold, silver, bronze, and trash. And you get the family timeline template resource online, as well as the actual physical long piece of timeline template to make your physical timeline. We don't want your memories to fade away, so I really want to support you in creating an organized collection. And these are just a few things that people who have bought it had said to me or actually emailed to me. A game changer for print photo chaos, easily organize your photos in no time. And in the end, the actual box itself becomes a temporary sorting box to hold 1,275 photos for you to have scanned by your local scanner scanning company or person. So whether you go with the physical kit or the digital version, you'll have everything you need to turn your photo chaos into a beautiful, meaningful collection, ready for scanning and for sharing. So here's my special offer to thank you just for watching today or for joining us today. The physical kit is normally $84.99, and the digital version, the intro price is $23.75. But until Monday, you can have 20% off with code webinar20, which makes the digital version $19 and the physical kit under $70. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. Um, and also, I'll have it in the follow-up email in a second. Well, I'll send the follow-up email, but I'll put it in the link in the chat in a second. But it's digyourphotos.com. Order now. All right. So here's what we're going to open up to questions and then I'll pop it off this, but I just wanted to give you further ways that you can get information. You can go to digyourphotos.com. You can send me an email at Rhoda, well, it's Rhoda at sunflowerphotosolutions.com. I will answer any questions you have. I love hearing from people and I just love helping people save their story. That's, you know, why we're all in the business. We're passionate about helping people leave a legacy. And I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com at Dig Your Photos. I have so many shorts and actual full-length videos that give all sorts of tips, tricks, and instructions on both print and digital photos on your iPhone, how to organize them on your iPhone, all different things having to do with photos and photo books. So head on over there, look at it, subscribe if you like it. I appreciate it. And here's your bonus. As a bonus for coming today and listening, I have a handy dandy scanning tip sheet that you can download right away and use right away to consider scanning companies and what you need to do before you scan. So head on over and do that after the webinar. First off, I want to thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate it. I hope that you got some tidbits here and you feel comfortable actually attacking your photo collection because that's all I want to do is empower people to truly save their stories, leave a legacy, and attack their photo collection. I want to encourage you to start now, start this weekend, start tomorrow. You could do just 15 minutes at a time. Go to one room, collect all the photos, put it somewhere. You can get a lot done in only 15 minutes. And share your success stories, whether you share it with me, send me an email, or tag me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm both Sunflower Photo Solution as well as Dig Your Photos. I have two different accounts. I'd love to see your before and after or during photos. And I would just say that, the holidays are coming up. It's a great family activity if you are thinking of purchasing Dig Your Photos. But most importantly, I just want to thank you for tuning in and sharing this time with me and letting me share my process with you.